We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. One conversation at a time. We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. One conversation at a time.
The Breaking Bread Village.
One conversation at a time.
The Breaking Bread Village.
One conversation at a time.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Breaking Bread Village. Really excited about our show tonight. We have two guests on here tonight. I know that I advertised for one, but we have someone else here with us, which I'm happy about as well. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them on, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hey Mike, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am well, thank you. And Izzy, hey Izzy, how are you?
I'm doing quite well. How are you doing?
I am good. Thank you. I just want to thank you guys for being on tonight. And I just wanted to just kind of preface the conversation with this to our viewers before we get started. Just so people who are maybe new to the show or new to what I do here, what I like to do is create a safe space for people to come here and speak for themselves, right? Because sometimes, the media, other people and different things can spin things or make stuff out to be what it is. And everybody has different perspectives and experiences with people. But I like to allow that person to speak for themselves. So I know that some people were not too pleased. And this is not the first time that people have not been pleased with somebody that I brought on here. And that's okay. And I understand why people sometimes feel what they feel. I'm not trying to discount what they feel at all, because I get it. But I just want people to understand my position. I don't make assumptions about people. I allow people to show me who they are for themselves. And then I go from there. So I've been judged before. I've had people make assumptions about me before. So I try not to do that about other people. So just want to start it with that. And again, I know people are not always happy. And I also understand I can't make everybody happy, but I just want everybody to understand what my point is here is that we all need a safe space to freely share who we are. And I may not always agree with it. I may not always be in favor of it, but that's my vibe. So again, welcome you guys. I appreciate you guys for being here. And I want to give a shout out to my mom. Hold on. She's saying good evening. Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
She always says hi, and I just want to acknowledge her. But yeah, so first of all, Mike, if you can introduce who you are, and then Izzy, after him, you can introduce who you are.
Okay, yes, ma'am. To start with, thank you for having me on the show. I'm Mike Dunn. I'm 19 years old. I'm someone who supports freedom for all people, freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms. Big advocate of First Amendment, the Second Amendment. I start militias in Virginia. I've started 18 across the state of Virginia. I'm connected with about 36 here in Virginia. And I work with Izzy with Halifax Militia, which goes by God, Family, Country, I believe. And I'm also one of the more well-known Boogaloo Boys that there is. I stand for freedom. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you. Izzy?
How y'all doing? First of all, thank you for having me. My name is Izzy. I'm one of the co-founders of the GFC Militia, which does stand for God, Family, and Country. I am a veteran, one tour Afghanistan, 31 years old, and I'm ready to just answer all any questions you have for me.
Awesome. And you, Mike, did you serve as well?
Yeah, I served in the Marine Corps before having a heart issue and being medically honorably discharged.
Okay. Well, thank you guys both for your service. I appreciate it because I don't want to. So thank you guys for doing it. I appreciate people who serve. So I just want to get started because, I've been really, really interested and curious about the Boogaloo Boys. Everybody has been talking about the Boogaloo Boys, right? That's been all over, the news and, people's mouths. People have been really when you talk about militias, people have talked about the Boogaloo Boys. So I really wanted to understand who the Boogaloo Boys are, if you could, because I know they've made it kind of famous with the Hawaiian shirts. I know some people are like, I can't wear Hawaiian shirts anymore because people assume that they're part of that movement, right? So tell me a little bit about who the Boogaloo Boys are.
So the Boogaloo is the it's taken from a movie from the 1980s about dancing, and then in 2012 it started as a meme, and then started gaining popularity as an ideology. Basically, now what it is, we are your friends, we're your families, we are people that love freedom. We're sick of tyranny ruling the United States. We're sick of seeing people oppressed. We're sick of being crammed into a two-party system, having to pick between the shiniest of two turds, whether it be President Trump or Biden as the hopeful. Well, a lot of us identify as libertarian. Some of us are independent. But basically, we just believe in freedom. And we believe in freedom for everybody. We believe in freedom as our country was intended to have, not as what it's become. So there's a little insight for you. And that's the best way I know how to put it.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of people assume that, when you see, and I'm just going to say it how I say it, when you see white men with guns, people assume that they are racist, they are, Republicans, and they are, ready to take out everybody that's non-white.
Well, I mean, I would even understand that, because I was a Republican. I was a big Trump supporter. I was the country dude carrying around the guns and stuff. So I definitely do understand that.
Sure. And I want to talk about that, because I do have that here. I want to talk about that. And I kind of just put it as a great big elephant in the room. I want to, and then Izzy, I'm going to get to your militia as well. But but Mike, I want you to talk about the elephant in the room. I mean, you and I had a conversation off screen, and we don't have to mention names and things of that nature, but I know it was some concern because people who know you from your past, have some issues about you.
I do want to say initially that they don't know me from my past. They've met me one time. Other than that, none of them actually know me personally, but I do understand what you're talking about.
Okay. And so if you want to just kind of highlight your past and kind of how you made a change, just so we can just address this and then go to the next part of the conversation.
Yes, ma'am, of course. So, I grew up a country boy. I grew up in North Carolina. I moved to Virginia about 5 years ago. When President Trump began running in 2015 or so, I was a big proponent of Trump, big supporter. Just someone feeding into the two-party system of this is the better choice, and was all about it. And I grew up, flying the rebel flag, and doing things of that nature. So I grew up in a mindset that was cool, and that was the way things were supposed to be. And that's not on my parents. That's just in the environment I was raised in and the people I grew up around. So probably around a year ago, I began to start thinking a little more for myself and begin changing some viewpoints here and there and becoming a little more true liberty minded, and begin being interested in the Libertarian Party. And then here recently, I started involving myself in peaceful Black Lives Matter protests, because I didn't think it was right that cops should be able to attack protesters that were being peaceful, while at the same time not supporting the national organization. But I did support many of our local groups, and I still do, and I still have. I've supported some over in the 757 area of Virginia, and I still do that. So I started doing that, and I started gaining some notoriety as a Boogaloo boy, bridging a gap like what we've done with Izzy and God Family Country Militia, bridging that gap between the armed white man and the armed black man, getting past the stereotypes and so on. And then a few people who I never even knew posted a screenshot from one of my Snapchat stories from right at a year ago, where I had stated that, there's a difference in a white person and a cracker, and there's a difference in a black person. And unfortunately, I spelled out the N-word, which I shouldn't have, and I took full responsibility for it. I posted it. I said, look, this is what I said. When it started coming to light, as they were commenting it on all the positive things that we were doing, they started commenting the screenshot. And I made a public apology for it, saying that it was definitely out of taste, and it was something that I shouldn't have said. I shouldn't have spelled out. It wasn't my place to say. It wasn't my place to spell out. But there was no acceptance with that message. And I realized then, that a lot of people cry for change and won't change, but they're not willing to accept that change. So I've just continued putting in the work and doing what I can to change. I'm 100% against violent protesting. If it doesn't have a purpose, if it's directed at innocent business owners and stuff like that. And I've made that clear. But I made apologies for that, and I was open about it. and I was hoping people would understand, which a lot of them have, that change comes, it takes time, and I've been doing a lot of changing within the past year. That's one of the reasons that I became a part of the Boogaloo movement, was because I saw how much they hated racism and how much they strive to teach people to change their mindsets, and that's one of the reasons I became involved in it, because it was a personal testament in my own life that, hey, I can change, maybe I can change others.
Okay. And again, you know what? I don't know you. I don't know the other people involved, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity to address the questions and the different things. Yeah, and at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that, and this is not just for Jews, this is period. People live in their truth, and everything comes to surface, right? So I mean,
Right.
if you're not really who you or what you say you're about, then it'll come. So it's not for me to try to make you into whatever, because that's not my place. But I do know also that people change. So I've seen it with my own two eyes. I mean, I've changed. So it happens. So if you have, I appreciate that. And one thing that I've always said is that your action speaks louder than your words, right?
That's correct.
So yeah. So at this point, we'll move on from that. We don't really need to spend that much time on that. You said your part, and and later, if we wanted to address other things in a different conversation, we can do that. But for right now, we'll leave that there. So thank you for that part. And so we talked about the Boogaloo Boys. Now, Izzy, you are now this is one thing. Now, a lot of times you don't see Black people. I should say I haven't seen. That's not the pictures I've seen, or when you see it on the news, it's always white men with the guns and with the militias. So tell me how you got involved in a militia.
So I reached out. You know what I'm saying? I always was taught, if there's knowledge you want, you seek out and you reach for and you learn. So what I did, I reached out to a person who's not around no more, and got in touch with Mike Dunn. And me and Mike Dunn linked up. We talked. At first, I was the only Black person there. And everyone else, a lot of people that was supposed to come was kind of scared. But I feel like this, I got a fast trigger finger just like the Nets, man. so
that's why I like him.
It's gonna go one way or another. And like I tell everybody that's on side of me, that's standing behind me, we going home to mama. Mama could be your real mama, your sister, your wife. We gonna make it back. So I can't say it about anybody else that's going to oppose us or going on the opposite side. But within law, we gonna make it home to mama.
Yeah. So what made you want to help start a militia?
Well, I wanted to see difference. I'm sick and tired of people hiding behind badges and people hiding behind suits and ties and just beating up on a little man, regardless of color, creed. It's sickening. And recently you could truly say, with the Black men and stuff like that are getting killed left and right. There's Black women, Black kids, there's white kids getting killed left and right for all because of egos. There's not even a real purpose to any of that. So what I did was I said I want to break that bridge. I'm linked up with Mike. And from there, it won't happen around here. You're not going to be breaking into none of these businesses, because the owners are Black, white, Hispanic, different colors. So my job is, to make sure that don't happen in our town. So I always give that warning.
While at the same time making sure the police don't mess with peaceful protesters.
Exactly.
Well, so, and I saw that. I think I saw that, Mike. I think I saw you kind of threatened. I mean, do I want to say threatened? You kind of challenged. I
told him. I told him. I said, if this is where you want it, it's going to be bad. And it's the same way on July 4th when we held a rally in Richmond, and multiple Black people showed up, and we went viral off of that as well, because it was unusual to see gun owners from both sides linking. And I can't say his name, but a Virginia State patrolman basically told us to blank around and find out. And I told him, I said, look, man, that's not going to happen here, because I didn't bring a gas mask, and I will wear yours. We're not here to play around, and we're not here to watch protesters get hurt. And we've stood by them in Richmond. Some of the people I'm associated with have stood by them in Virginia Beach. and they're not with peaceful protesters getting hurt.
So do you guys support the Black Lives Matter movement?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I support the movement 100%.
Long as if it's peaceful and no
Yeah,
no looting.
And I support the fact that Black Lives Matter. It's just that the national organization has been hijacked by the left for political gain, and that's something I don't support. But people don't take the time to differentiate between my support for the movement and my disassociation with the national organization.
Okay. Yeah, because what people don't realize, and it's really frustrating sometimes, because you do see a lot of people on the right that post things about Black Lives Matter and they lump it all together. And really, a lot of times the peaceful protesters in these cities are, young people that got together and are frustrated and tired. They put together a rally and people associate them with the organization. Which is really frustrating because, quite honestly, the organization, and I've made this very clear, most people know that I feel this way, the organization has not given back to the Black community as they have off of the pains of the Black community. So I do take issue with that.
Now that you said that, ma'am, like what really gets me is, okay, if you have these young protesters and they're speaking from their hearts, because a lot of these young people don't have a voice, you know what I'm saying? So when it comes time for them who are doing things in the community, like the GFC Militia, we do free gun awareness training with free food for men, women, and children in the community. Okay. We do this once a month, but yet and still the whole big organization of BLM got over $5 million, and I haven't seen a doorknob put up, and that hurts my feelings, But what we're gonna do around my area and throughout Virginia is we're gonna reach out to our communities and we're gonna help them out as much as we can. Free food, go a long way. Me teaching you the laws so you can be around here and you carry a couple of these like I do, to protect myself, and protect my family. Then we will do the same. I have no problem with giving you that free training.
Goes a long way.
It goes a long way.
Yeah, a lot of people do not. A lot of people do not know laws, and that's the part that gets a lot of people in trouble. And then we also know that you can know every law, you can do everything right, and you still can get in trouble. So that's a whole nother conversation. So I want to kind of talk to you guys about Mike. I want to talk what happened in Kenosha last night. And for people who may not know, who may have been living under a rock, Kenosha has had nonstop protesting there right now because of what happened to the young man who got shot in the back, Jake. He got shot in the back 7 times and is now paralyzed. And there's been a lot of protesting there right now. And you, Mike, had some men that have been there, boots on the ground. So can you tell me about what happened last night?
Yes, ma'am. So we had one boy there. I'm not going to give his name, but he was leading his own group, and he's a good friend of mine, along with another personal friend of mine who had boots on the ground as well. And they went there with the sole intention of making sure protesters didn't get hurt by police, while at the same time making sure protesters didn't stupidly attack innocent businesses. Because even me, myself, here in Richmond, Virginia, I've seen Black Lives Matter protest peacefully, and I've watched white college kids start smashing windows, and the Black kids take the blame for it. I've watched that myself. So they went there with that mentality of making sure businesses weren't hurt, but at the same time making sure protesters weren't hurt. And while all this was going on, when they first arrived, not a young, but a short, white, bald guy, who turns out was a convicted pedophile, 2 counts, from back in 2002, and had a long history of assault against domestic abuse. He had a long history of domestic abuse, but he began hollering, "Shoot me, N-word, shoot me," at some of them, and the protesters were trying to pull him back and keep him away from the armed militia style and Boogaloo Boys. And throughout the event, he began chasing this kid, 17-year-old kid, who was not with any of the crews that were there. He showed up by himself. He showed up doing his own thing, and he began chasing this kid. And according to the news reporter for, I can't remember who it was for. It may have been for the Daily Beast, but the news reporter that tried to stop the blood flow from the man's head, he said that the man accosted the kid and tried to take his firearm. Well, the kid in turn shot him and dropped him. Well, as soon as the crowd realized that he had just shot somebody, they turned on him. So as they began chasing him, he began running down the street. He tripped and fell. As soon as he fell, one man hit him with his skateboard across the head. Another one went to kick him in the face, and a third one, which turns out to be a felon, drew a pistol on him. Well, the kid defended himself. He didn't spray and pray into the crowd. He handled himself very well. He shot the three that were attacking him with the intent to kill him and hollering, "We're going to kill you." He shot them and attempted to turn himself into police. He walked toward them with his hands up, and they totally ignored him. We don't know if it was because of the confusion or everything that went on, but totally ignored him. And they picked him up and arrested him yesterday morning at his house. He's 17 years old. His name is Kyle Rittenhouse. He's a big Back Blue proponent, so I know he wasn't with any of our boys there because none of our boys are statists. They're not all about, posting stuff about Back in the Blue and stuff like that because a lot of them support extremely limited government. But he wasn't with any of our boys there, but that's what went down. And from what we can tell from every video that's been posted and the testimonials from eyewitnesses there, along with our boys involved, everything was clear self-defense. Should he have been there? No. But from what we can tell, everything was clear self-defense. But the first thing the media did was say, hey, he was a Boogaloo Boy. And if you pull up his Facebook profile, you can quickly tell he was not a Boogaloo Boy. So it was
white militia.
Yeah, he showed up. He showed up by himself, as far as we know. He showed up by himself. He wasn't with no group. He tried to stand with our guys. He ended up not standing with them and separating from them. And he had nobody that had his back. Just a 17-year-old kid out there thinking he was doing something right. Apparently misguided, obviously misguided, and he screwed up. But as far as we can tell, it was in self-defense.
So you're saying that Kyle shot the people in self-defense?
Yeah, the first guy assaulted him and tried to take his firearm, and Kyle shot him through the head. And that's where you see the initial video at the car lot. The reporter that was putting the shirt on the man's head has released a statement. I believe you can find it on The Hill on YouTube, where he said that, the guy tried to take the firearm from Kyle, and Kyle defended himself. When Kyle turned to run because the crowd turned against him, the three who attacked him with the intention to kill him, one of them having a firearm, Kyle shot those three as well, trying to defend himself, because we've all seen what a mob can do to somebody once they're angered and they try to kill somebody. And he, as far as we can tell, it was self-defense. So that's the best way I know how to put it. But he was not a Boogaloo Boy.
Okay. I'd have to hear more. I don't know. It just didn't look like self-defense to me, just because. Now this is based on this child's history, and the things that he said for so long in regards to some of the stuff he wanted to do, traveling there to get there.
And they have a video of him there offering to provide medical support and helping some of the protesters that were forced away from the Capitol building. I'm not here to speak on, who he is or what he was doing.
Right.
I just know that we had a team of 200 people compiling those videos, analyzing them, watching them. We had the reports from the people on the ground that were directly involved. We had reports from the person who was right beside him when he shot the first guy initially. And so the best way we could see it, that's how we came about our decision. But I totally understand you having to see more.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, it goes.
He shouldn't have been there.
He shouldn't have been there. He's 17 years old, and to me, just because I've worked with kids so long, I see him as a child, right? I see him as a child that has been allowed to retain a lot of misinformation. Okay, and when you retain a lot of misinformation, it can turn to love or it can turn to hate. And you can love something that you probably should be hating it, or vice versa. And that's all our different perspectives, right?
Yeah. Can I say something on that? So me personally, you know what I'm saying? Lack of training. First and foremost, you're going across state lines. If you don't have the proper license and stuff like that, you ain't got the proper training, you shouldn't be crossing state lines anyways. Like me and Mike, we go out here and we do these things, it's because we have the proper training. Without proper training, then what you're doing is pretty much you're just being dumb, and you're out here just hunting for no reason.
And at the same time, it proves that the gun control narrative is dead, because there were already gun laws against him doing what he did, and he still did what he did. So there's nothing. it's dead. The gun control narrative is dead. But sadly he messed up, man.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
hey, he got to face that judge and jury, just like
Yeah,
anybody
he's
else that break
judged.
the laws. You break the laws and you're out here, trying to do something that's above your level, then you got to take that. You got to take that L. Simple.
Yeah, and then also if you're driven by a certain emotion, which could be, hate. It could be. I don't know. I don't know him, and I don't know his situation, so I don't even, want to spend too much time assuming who he was or what his method was and what his motive, was. But for me, it just looks so purpose. It looked purpose to me. But again, that's from what I've seen. But I just wanted to state the fact, because I know people are saying that he was a part of the Boogaloo Boys, and you guys were saying that he was not. That was bringing that up.
Yeah, his profile was littered with Back to Blue stuff, so it was pretty evident if someone researched it that he's not a boy.
Right,
so.
right, and I did see that. I did see he has a long history of being kind of in love with the police movement, and so
his mom wasn't his mom a cop?
Yeah, I think that's some of the rumor going around.
Then she should have handcuffed his ass to the house. Excuse me.
And something you'll see
discipline your kids at home so they don't go out here doing stupid stuff.
Yeah, and something you'll see from some of the initial altercations. The boy in the yellow bandana, he's connected with me. He's a good friend of mine, but he's pulling the guys back and he's trying to break up the initial altercation. So I want to give a huge shout out to him because he is a Boogaloo boy and he did his best to de-escalate any situation that happened. He carried himself like a man very maturely. He got his team out before everything went down. And that's how we act. We're not going to get caught up in so much stupidity.
Exactly.
Okay. Mike, I wanted to ask you, because I did. The reason why I reached out to you initially was because I did see you on Vice. So I love the Vice show because I love, documentaries, and I love just kind of how they, ask questions in regards to why people do what they do, and try to highlight some things. So my question for you is, and of course they show different things, and I know you said at one time you were a Trump supporter. I've been watching so many videos of people who were once Republicans or a Trump supporter, still a Republican, but not voting for Trump, or changing their affiliation altogether. So I wanted to ask you, what was the reason for you changing? I'm curious.
I felt that, especially when he signed the red flagging for veterans into effect, that bothered me tremendously, having many veteran friends, having lost.
What is that? I'm sorry, what is that?
So that's where they can deem that a veteran is a risk to society, and they can enter his house and take his firearms and stuff like that.
Really?
Trump was already
not happening.
It's not happening. I was already having issues because of the bump stock ban and a lot of the legislation against firearms, because you'll always find that a criminal obviously does not care about the laws. And you can always access those items regardless. But I was against the legislation already, and it continued. And I believe now he signed more gun control legislation than the previous two presidents combined. And when he did the red flag stuff for veterans, and me having many veteran buddies, I've lost buddies overseas. I still have buddies overseas who are going to come home. And they deal with things every day, but they're still mentally capable of owning a firearm, and they provide for their families and they work hard. That I was done at that point. I was already moving to that point of being done, but at that point I was done. And I began realizing that standing for true liberty means not licking or spit shining anyone's boots, regardless of who it is, regardless of whether it's a Democratic candidate or Republican candidate. And we're told that in this two-party system, we have to vote for one or the other, and one is the lesser of two evils. And I'm 100% against that. So I began leaning more toward the libertarian side and understanding that true freedom is extremely limited government, something that Trump's not for and something that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is not for. And so now I identify more as a libertarian.
Okay. Do a lot of Trump supporters know that he's doing this stuff with guns? Because that's a lot of the reason why I hear people praise Trump is because of, these are people that believe in Second Amendment. They believe in, they say the Democrats are trying to take all the guns. So do they realize this is happening?
What they do, I feel that a lot of them, and I don't know where Izzy stands on this. We have difference in political opinions sometimes, but we still work
Don't we
together.
all?
Yeah, we still work together. But what I believe a lot of them they eat the news that is fed them by the media that they pay attention to, whether it be Fox or CNN. So they eat it up, and they think that Trump is doing all these good things. And then when they see a few bad things here and there, they think, oh, well, he's got to compromise for the sake of some good. My mentality about that is, it's just like I had a senator tell me this, said, well, they went to pass a gun law to make this a felony. I got it made a misdemeanor. Well, that's not what I asked for. It was legal to start with. I didn't ask for compromising. And so I think a lot of the Republican-minded people see it as a calculated compromise, and that's the line that they're fed, and they eat it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, because and I don't want to make this all about Trump, but since you were a Trump supporter, I just have I had a couple questions in regards to that, because a lot of stuff that I've seen him do goes against some of the stuff that people, and then when I ask the question, well, why this, that, and the other, their answer is always, well, he has to play the game a little, or that's him speaking in code. And it's like, no, when you sign things, that's not him speaking in code, that's him doing it. That's
the way it works, sadly. It's just like people support Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but then want to claim that they're against the police force. And when Kamala Harris put so many people behind bars, it's not even funny. So you got it on both sides, sadly.
Oh yeah. Now, Izzy, are you a Trump supporter?
I am a supporter of military, to be honest with you. I do not believe in some of the things that are put out. I really don't like politicians in general, to be honest with you. Liars.
Yeah.
And the way people do things now, if it comes to like, all right, so you got your Trump supporters. So if Trump do everything right, and as soon as he do something wrong, it's like they make an excuse for why he did wrong and blame it on votes at Congress. When it comes to Joe Biden, same thing. When it came to Obama, same thing. I'm just like this, because I'm military, regardless of who's in that honorable seat, we have to do what they say, hands down. So me being a veteran, all I did just swim to defend this country, foreign and domestic, and that's what I'm doing. As far as who I vote for, it don't matter, because I really I might flip a coin, because right now nobody.
No, I get it, and I asked that only because I thought that I saw that you were, so I was curious, because again, you're ex-military, and you again believe in carrying gun, you know what I mean? So it just always perplexes my mind when people, and let me just put this out here, I'm not really a political person at all. I think they all
they all
do what they do. Yes, and they all do what they do to get to where they need to be, especially when you get to the federal level. In my opinion, once you get there, you've had to do some things to get there. So
it's the same politicians, the same facts, the same promises, the same failures.
Yeah.
In the beginning, before Trump got into the seat, I did my research when he was doing running and stuff like that.
Sure.
Before he put it out there, he was like, in 1990s, he said this: I'm gonna run for president, and I'm gonna run for Republican, because they'll do whatever the hell I say. From that point on, I was like, man, you know what? Maybe this dude will be a good businessman for the country. But
even though all his businesses have failed, but I get what you're saying. And I'm not gonna fight you on that. I'm being silly here,
I don't know. Nah, if you can't control your marriage, you sure can't control the country. So is that.
Well, it's so many. We can go down a deep rabbit hole with Trump and everything. And again, all of them are about the same to me, so I don't even get into the back and forth with that. I have a question for both of you guys. I know, Izzy, you just made a mention of how whoever's in that office, you'll back them. But you guys stand for, like, Militia stand for the very thing, kind of against that at times, right? Like if someone is over, doing what they're supposed to do in that position, that's what militias are, right? You guys kind of
if the military misuses power, we'd stand against that.
Yeah. A part of our oath is we back the president unless he or she is compromised. Then we take that real to heart as far as the government. If anyone, it ain't just gotta be the president. That goes to your local police department. That goes to, because we stand for the people. We pretty much police the people. If you're doing something wrong, that's when we come up there and we take charge of that situation. And all of us feel, and we know deep down in our heart that we'll die for that freedom.
How do you guys determine who's right or wrong on that side of that? You get what I'm saying? Like,
I feel that morality determines a lot of things. As far as Izzy is speaking for what he does with the militia, something that I'm barely involved in much anymore because him and another guy run it. So that's a lot of what Izzy does. But I think that morality determines a lot of what's right and wrong. It's just like if an officer wants to uphold his to the Constitution and support constitutional law, then go for it. But the minute you step outside those confines and you start breaching the Constitution and breaching your oath and not helping people, then I'm going to stand against you too, because I'm not a big police officer guy, so to speak. I'm not sure where Izzy stands on that, but I'm against any officer that's going to enforce unconstitutional law, which we see repeatedly throughout the United States currently.
I agree.
Yeah. Now, I know you guys go through the protests and, support the protesters as well. What do you guys do if protesters get out of line? You know what I mean? Like, what do you guys do if...
As far as my crew goes and the experience that we've had as far as my Boogaloo Boys and the stuff that we've done in protest, the most of our experiences in Richmond were white college kids from VCU trashing stuff, and then Black Lives Matter organization from Richmond or from the 757, the movement, they get blamed for it, and it was pitiful. So a lot of times if we witness somebody attempting to smash the innocent business, or try to set a fire, we either try to put that fire out, or say, hey, man, this isn't the way this works. You're going to delegitimize the march if you continue to do this. Just return the march and go back to what you're doing. It's pointless to harm innocent businesses. However, we do understand that the value of a business is not worth more than somebody's life, but the first level of force is presence. And so by establishing a presence and saying, hey, go back to the march. This is pointless. Don't engage yourself in this. This helped deter a lot of things. I was with a group in Richmond, and we had white kids come back through all masked up under the little Antifa banner, and they accosted this one black girl and pepper sprayed her, and were mad at her for whatever reason because she had stopped them from defacing something. And she's from Richmond, and they weren't, and they pepper sprayed her. Well, me and a brother, we slept both of them. And because by that point they had assaulted somebody, we took care of them. So we tried to.
Wait a minute. What did you say? You said you slept them?
We slept both of them.
Okay. I thought that's what you said, but you said it so quickly. I didn't want to just brush over it. Okay.
Yeah. So a couple of them, they took care of them, got them down. And they went on their merry way afterwards, but with a clear understanding that you don't assault people, that are trying to stop you from burning down somebody's innocent business. That's ridiculous. Yeah. And they handled that, and everything was taken care of. But as far as our interactions with protesters getting out of hand, it was mostly white college kids, and we just tried to say, hey, direct your energy back into the march, and your chanting. This is pointless.
Yeah, people don't want to talk about that. I've had a conversation with several people where, they associate Black Lives Matter with Black people that are at these protests tearing up stuff. And I'm not saying that Black people haven't looted or, get help with the rioting, but I know a lot of people. That's what I've heard. I've known several people in different locations where there's been protesting that's been there, boots on the ground, and they are saying, people from out of states are coming in.
I've seen it repeatedly in Richmond. Yeah, I've seen it repeatedly in Richmond. I've seen the vehicle tags from out of state. I've seen a lot of people get out. I've seen people that are involved in the arrest are either from out of state or not even local to the town. Are the ones that are getting arrested for stupidity and stuff like that. So we've definitely witnessed that firsthand.
Yeah, tearing it up and then going back to wherever they go and then leaving,
They don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, and then of course, Black lives. I hate saying Black lives. The Black lives that happen to be there are being blamed for this. Izzy, I want to ask you a question because this is something that I kind of thought about in regards to you being a Black American. Being in a militia and supporting a white American in a militia. Have you ever had any issues with like other Black people calling you names in regards to, or like a sellout or coon and all that stuff that we like to say?
So with my presence and the type of person I am, I'm going to say no, I have not had someone come to me face to face and say anything. Now, can I say if they ever had a private conversation that ain't gonna never come to my ears? So, not saying I'm the biggest, baddest person in the world, but I respect everybody. If you have an issue with me, I feel like if you're a man, we could talk, sit down, I'll buy you a drink, conversation. We go about our ways. If you're a female, I'm gonna talk to your husband because I don't want him to feel disrespected that an alpha male is talking to his lady, and then we go.
Yeah, I just asked because I wonder, because a lot of times in these movements, you do see a lot of white Americans, right? And then oftentimes I've seen where there may be, a Black guy or even, Hispanic guy sprinkled in. They're considered a sellout for doing that. How do you feel about that?
I get the opposite of that, actually. I get the, wait, you're Black in a militia? Bro, you not scared? I get that conversation person telling me out loud. If they feel like
Hey, just wait till I convert him to the Boogaloo.
Yeah.
The Boogaloo does allow Black people in there. The Boogaloo
yeah, we
does
actually
I
have. When I
can't find a Hawaiian shirt big enough.
When I marched through the streets of Richmond last Tuesday, the boy carrying our Boogaloo flag was a Black boy. So we're definitely very inclusive.
Okay. And I'm just asking because it's just so many different things that are out there.
Mainstream media, mainstream media loves to paint it one way when they don't take the time to actually talk to people who are involved and are put in the work every day. They want to paint a certain picture so it fits their narrative and continues to divide the people. A narrative that we've continually destroyed in Richmond, Virginia.
Mm-hmm. So, Mike, are you? Izzy, you're breaking up just a little bit. Sorry. So sometimes when you talk, you coming in late. So I apologize. I'm not trying to cut you off. But Mike, I have a question for you in regards to what you're doing, because I've seen several articles where you did kind of like, challenge police officers, you challenged different law enforcement that were present. Do you ever get, scared that, something could happen, while you're doing that?
I've come to the acceptance of the fact that I accept the outcomes of every event, regardless what they may be. And I've wanted to help people understand that when everybody is together and armed, there is nothing they can do to you. It's just the way it works. When I've involved myself in police officers, it's because they've given an unconstitutional order, or they've acted unfairly to the people, and I've stood up to it. And I've told them, this is not how this works. And my people back me 100%. The people that surround me that are armed, they're willing to take a stand with me if something were to hit the fan. So most of the time, I'm not too worried about something going off with police officers. But at the same time, I've come to the acknowledgement, the acceptance of the fact that regardless of what outcome it is, it's going to be that way, and there's nothing that can exactly change it.
Okay. We have someone that has a question here. What are these? Can you guys see the question?
Yeah. I see that. I'm reading it. Like Jack Dunn, Halifax Militia, the racism, the Cardin lady. As far as Halifax Militia, if y'all are referring to Mitzi Thompson, she broke off from us when we started integrating. I removed her from her place of command. We put Isaiah in command, and we put somebody else in command as well. As far as Jack Dunn, I'm assuming y'all are referring to the city council member. I think his wording was pretty poor when it came to the article he wrote. But once again, I've been out of Halifax a lot. Even Izzy knows that. We haven't been able to connect because I've been all over the state here recently. And so I'm not very up to date on what's going on in Halifax. So that's something I'm gonna have to look into.
So
Okay.
this is with it's issues in Halifax. Okay, what he said, you know what I'm saying? Pretty much he wanted to walk that thin line without coming out saying that, hey, you know, you people, or what other terms they can say about you black, or you, just a racist way of saying, you know. And with the Halifax militia, the real reason why you don't even speak on them is because I had one of their members pretty much say something out the way about me pretty much being me, being a black man. And
That's why we split. Yep.
We split up because of racism, and that's
Yep.
hands down it. So what I told them, and he's a volunteer firefighter, but I don't need to say where. And I told him any day, and we can have a nice conversation. But no show.
So, okay, so basically, just so I'm, because of course, you know, this is something that's going on within your town, so a lot of us don't know what you mean. But just in short, is this something where you guys were all together in the same militia, and then when Izzy or anybody that was black was brought in, they did not want?
No, I introduced making it board run with Izzy, and several people had a problem with that. One of them confronted Izzy. Izzy spoke with
because he was black, is what you're saying.
That's what we're figuring, yes. And we handled it. We removed the person in command. They took about 4 people with them, and we took the rest. And I placed Izzy in command along with somebody else. I still pull the strings a little bit here and there. I don't involve myself much with them because I'm more involved on the Boogaloo side. But I wanted to help establish a home defense for my home county, and Izzy runs that perfectly, better than I could ever ask. And so they definitely had an issue when I talked about it being board run and included Izzy in that, and we took care of it. We stomped it out and got rid of it.
Okay.
I had a young lady. Shout out to the asked that question because it's her, and she told me about how that militia, whatever they want to call themselves, militia. I'm gonna call them you're probably some KKK members to me. I don't care, but the way they handle things, and you got the people who want to speak on things, you need to curse them or not and say you're wrong and stuff. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's why we have freedom of speech. You as adults have to learn how to hold a conversation to be able to receive negative, just like you receive positive. And me personally, if someone has something negative to say of me, God bless them. We can have a conversation. We sit down. I say my part. You say your part over some drinks, whatever, and then our separate ways. Why aren't we exposing them?
Because we're not involved. We're not involved with them. What do you mean? I'm not sure what she means by exposing them, because we're not. They held it back to Blue Rally, and none of us attended because, number one, I'm not on board with that, and Izzy wasn't there, so like I don't know what there is to expose.
Okay.
So that I was out of town. All right, and my guys, we coming from all over. So the GFC militia is not just in Halifax. We are Southwest Virginia, from Richmond down. Okay, and Richmond have their own militia. So when I find out about these things, it's usually last minute. Okay. I guarantee you, Miss Beverly, if you have my inbox information, if you want to let me any of these things are going on, or someone reach out to me and want to let me know, my guys will be there standing tall. Hands down.
Okay. Well, you know what? I just want to, I know we're close to wrapping up. I want you guys to just tell me some words. I know, Mike, you, like you said, you used to be Republican, you were a Trump supporter, you said some things that were not did not put you in the best light, right? And you feel like you have changed. What do you have to say to that right now? Like, what's some words that you like to say in regards to that? And at the end of the day, it may be some people that will never ever believe that you changed. I mean, that's something that all of us have to be okay with. That it's going to be some people that may never support you, that may never agree with you, and that's okay. But I want to just ask you, what's some words that you would like to say in regards to that?
I would like to say, regardless of people's opinions and such, I owned up to it. I issued a formal apology, an official apology, a public apology back when I had a decent sized Facebook before I was taken down. I've never hid it. I have responded to it, as I felt I should. And then because of me changing, I've put in a lot of work since then. I joined, I became part of the Boogaloo movement because I saw the hatred that it has for racism, and the fact that I've seen people change because of it. And so I decided I want to be a part of that, because I continue to see the hatred for racism in the Boogaloo, and I absolutely love every bit of it. It helped me change. It helped me become the person I am. I've been tear gassed. I've protected people from police officers. And a lot of these people, the few from my hometown who happen to judge me, maybe one day they'll be standing on the front line with me somewhere, and they'll taste what the CS gas tastes like. They'll feel the pepper spray. They'll feel the shields and the batons, and they'll understand that I put in my work, supporting movement that I believe in, peaceful protesting, and supporting the right of people to peaceful protest, whether I agree or disagree. I support that right. And I think my actions have spoken for itself. I made that statement. I grew up country, white. It's the way it is. I had to learn, and I've learned. It's been almost a year since then, and I've really like I said, I just want to go back to saying I became involved with the Boogaloo movement, and it changed me. And I'm hoping I can use it to change others.
Okay. Now I want to ask you one more question, and then Izzy, I want you to give me some words as well. Mike, I have one more question for you, because I'm just really curious, and I've asked several people this in regards to the Confederate flag. The Confederate flag is a huge conversation piece, especially right now in the climate that we're in right now. And you said you grew up with that. What did it mean to you? I've always been curious. And you're from the South, but I mean, I live in Michigan. There's a lot of people here that have never been associated with the South. So I've always wondered, what was the connection for you, for people?
As far as myself growing up personally, and the people I grew up involved with, they did not at all understand it as a sign of racism. They did not at all understand it as being that the South separated in a fight to retain slavery. They did not understand it that way. There was no way for them to understand it that way, because they hadn't been raised that way. So there was nothing connecting it with a racial issue to them. And that was the atmosphere we were raised in. I knew Black people who flew the Confederate flag where I grew up. So it was really not, and it was a non-issue to them. They really did not understand a lot of the things that transpired at that time. I myself, and having researched and grown up, I realized that it's definitely not something that we should be parading around with. But to answer your question, as far as my involvement and the people I was associated with, they really didn't understand. That's the mindset they were raised in. With you, when you raise a kid, telling them every day, and I'm not speaking for my parents, I'm just talking about the atmosphere, saying that this is okay, this is good, there's nothing wrong with this, this is what it was really about, then they're going to grow up with that mindset, just like that kid from Kenosha who was raised every day with the back the blue and the little police costume and so on, and then goes out wanting to be deputized by police. You have that mentality of acceptance, and that's simply the way they see it. They see it as a non-issue because they're not raised with any contradiction.
Okay. And again, no judgment. I don't know. I just was curious because
education is different. Education is different. You've got some books claiming one thing. You have other books claiming others. You have once again, somebody asked a question about education. You have people who are raised who think that, hey, we're actually thinking for ourselves because we're going against the education. We're going against the publicly funded education. So they think that, okay, maybe things are different. They pull letters, they read letters, they do their other thing, then they still don't see nothing wrong with it, because you always have, the history books have changed over time. And so education is really perspective, honestly.
Okay. We have someone saying, and you know what was interesting? I have seen a Black person fly a Confederate flag. It confused me, but I did.
Man, it was prevalent in North Carolina. I've
seen it. I have seen it with my own two eyes.
I have seen it. Yep.
And they've had some different things on TV where they've interviewed different people, and they've had Black people who fly it. So I do know it's a thing. I've seen it myself. And like I said, it confused me. But that wasn't my business at the time. I was just like, oh, okay. But anyway, thank you for that, Mike. I appreciate that. Izzy, so what's some words that you'd like to give in regards to, just your militia and just your overall mindset right now?
For any person out there, Black, white, Hispanic, kids, if you want to learn about these militias, get in touch with me. All right. I will break it down to you. If you want to set up a meeting, you want to come out with us. We got our next free gun awareness training September 19th at 10 a.m. We meet up at a general location. And then from there, we go to our private land and we teach you all how to protect your families. I'm more or less of a person.
They also do medic classes.
They do what?
They do medic classes.
Oh.
We do a lot of things. Me personally, it's all about protecting our young ones. I have a kid that's gonna be born in November. God, and I got a son. When he's born, I don't want to have to tell him, hey, when you get pulled over by the police, stick your arms out the window. Make sure your phone is recording. I don't think I have to tell that. Or for my daughter, who's 17, that I need to buy her a bulletproof book bag that opens up from a regular book bag and goes to a vest. We shouldn't have to go through these things, but we're in the time that we have. So what I'm gonna do is I will touch every person I can and teach them and educate them their laws, what they can do, what they do to protect them and their families. I don't care if much as I work, I'm always busy. I will make time for someone in their family. What that means, as long as it ain't get me in trouble with my wife.
Right. Yeah. No, I get that.
And I really do have no problem with reaching out or helping out anyone that needs help. My parents raised me. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Okay, I'm not from Virginia. I moved here 5 years ago, and I found me a country that could cook, and I love it. All right. That being said, I will do whatever I can to protect my family and to teach everyone around these surrounding neighborhoods, these cities, these states, and I will help educate and help them, even if it goes to they lost their gun rights. We have to figure out. We got lawyers that could definitely help you out as far as you getting your gun rights back as well. This is all free stuff that we're doing. So, like I said, they want to reach. All they gotta do is look up GFC Militia on Facebook, and then from there, send a message. I answer this right then and there, all night long.
Are you guys?
I would definitely do that.
Oh, I'm sorry, he's breaking up. Are you guys afraid of being looked at as like an extremist group?
Me personally, I'm already looked at as an extremist. There's involvement with the feds. We've had boys associated with myself personally that have been rolled up by the feds. It's anytime you take a stand for freedom and true freedom, you're going to be looked at as an extremist group, and that's just it's the breaks of the game.
Well, because it's so interesting, because I remember there were a few Black gentlemen that formed different educational trainings some years ago, because there were a lot of white Americans that had guns or whatever out and spreading different rhetoric. So a lot of Black communities started doing a lot of like training, in the backwoods, because white people do that all the time. I know people personally that have like land and acres of land that shoot up things all the time. And so there were Black communities started doing it, and then they got labeled the Black extremists,
Well, we've been labeled extremists for a long time as far as the militias. Ever since I believe that when the Black Panthers were founded, they were labeled extremists. The militia movements throughout the 70s, 80s, and then really prevalent in the 90s, they were horribly labeled as extremists. And even now, especially the Boogaloo Boys, they're labeling us as extremists. So it's the breaks of the game,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The thing is this: I just want us to go back to the early 1800s when Blacks were not allowed to carry guns. So what I'm gonna do from there, I'm gonna help educate. I don't care if it's Hispanics, it could be Irish, whoever you are. I will give you free classes and free training with free food that we come out of our own pockets with to help you learn what you can and can't, what that means. And if anyone goes against any of our peaceful protests that we have around here, then that's when we take it for each level. It goes up. We can take it up another level. So.
Okay. And it's so funny because whenever I have on people who are what people consider extremists, because I've had a Black militia guy, I've had white, they think that I am trying to solicit people to join militias. And really, honestly, this is just information for me. I love
You should
to.
join militias.
Well, the thing is,
Leadership?
now let me explain something. I believe that people should be able to protect themselves, and I believe that we the people should always voice our opinions. And I believe because that's the way it was set up, and I think we kind of forgot that. But with that said, this is not advocacy. This is just transparency for me. This is informational, educational. Yeah, I think people should know what people are, what they're saying they're about. I think that's fair to allow people to say, this is who I am, this is what I am, this is what I stand for. And, there's things that I agree with in a lot of things. I mean, it's on both sides of things, because the Black Panther did try that. They did, people don't understand. They started WIC. I mean, they started a lot of things in our communities that everybody benefits from. And, the thing was with the Panthers, they said, hey, if they won't protect us and they're going to keep trying to shoot us, we're going to protect ourselves. And I see nothing wrong with that. Everybody should be able to protect themselves. So anyway, I don't want to get on a tangent because I really do like talking about the Panthers because I think it was actually a beautiful thought process and it was a beautiful movement that got hijacked.
We stood with some of the original Panthers in Richmond last week.
Oh wow! I would have loved to talk to some of them. That would have been amazing. Because I think that it got hijacked like a lot of things, got tainted, and all that good stuff. So anyway. I just want to thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate you guys for being here. It was nice. Yeah, it was nice speaking to both you guys. I wish you both well and safety and your families well. And again, Mike, I just want to tell you, you stay on whatever track that you're going on to, your own personal redemption, your own personal journey. And, I wish you guys both the best. Izzy, I wish you the best and your wife the best with your baby on the way. That's a beautiful thing. So you guys take care. And again, thank you so much for being on. I do appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
All right. You guys have a good night. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Okay. So that was a great conversation. I'm just so excited that both of them were able to be on here. Anybody that knows me knows that I love conversation and I love to speak to a person directly in regards to who they are. And again, somebody can tell me anything and that's not my business. My business is to try to understand the best way I can so I can have information and I'm not just kind of regurgitating something else that the media said or someone else said. I want to be able to speak personally for myself. So again, I appreciate Izzy and Mike for coming on. And I appreciate you guys for watching and I wish you guys a great night. Thank you so much.